This full moon promises to make us dive deep into the emotional realm of personal power and regeneration. Hey y'all, I'm Jasmeen, the owner of House of Chiron Astrology and Reiki, and I make the language of astrology digestible for all of y'all. So welcome to my channel. And if you are in fact new to my channel, first of all, thank you for being here. But go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you will not miss anything that I upload, like these videos here. So if you are returning, of course, you know how we do things. So hello, welcome back, welcome in. Go ahead, grab your seat. We're about to dive into this full moon at 4 degrees Scorpio, okay? Now, just for those who are unfamiliar with how we do things here at House of Chiron, first and foremost, I do several different videos throughout the month. So I have a galactic gossip video that comes out once a month, and it goes over all the energy for that month and very deep in detail for most part. And then I have separate videos for my full moon and new moon readings. So in those videos, I actually go into readings for all 12 signs. And then if we have special transits, and I do separate videos for those, like the one I just recently did, and you can find that link up here, which is for the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that happens on the 20th of April. So hopefully by the time you're seeing this, we're probably right under that energy. So go ahead and click that link. All right. So that's just kind of giving you an idea of how we do things. Also, if you are not familiar with who I am Jasmeen, and I am your Reiki specialist, your Reiki master. I am also your professional astrologer. I am your mental health professional. I'm currently in school in the grad program to obtain my MSW to become a therapist so I can be a spooky therapist and incorporate astrology with psychology. Okay. So gives a little bit of background on me. I'm a mom. I am a business owner, clearly. I'm a student. I'm a full-time worker, all the things. I do too much, much too much. But, what's a Gemini without a lot on her plate? It is what it is. All right. So, with that being said, we're going to dive right on into the energy for this full moon that happens at 4 degrees Scorpio, and which is on April the 23rd. Okay. So, we're going to be really met with this intense energy, right? Because it's Scorpio. Scorpio is intense, it's deep, it's dark. It is the things that we necessarily can't see. It's the secrets. It's things that need to come up and be excavated, to kind of understand and witness, right? And so it's going to bring naturally a lot of transformation with this. And so, being that this full moon is happening at 4 degrees, that happens to be the degree of the home, the family, it's the feminine degree, it's about our emotional space. It even adds that much more emphasis on the emotional realms of things, right? So it's really promising us to dive deep into those realms of emotional depth and regeneration and personal power. So this full moon potency is really amplified by a challenging T-square that we're going to be having that involves the sun, the moon, and Pluto. So this is really marking a period of profound transformation and revelations. These things could be really coming to the forefront of our minds, showing us things in ways that we were not necessarily expecting, especially since we're still kind of under the energy of Jupiter and Uranus being conjunct as well, right? Around the same time. It just happened 3 days before this full moon illuminates. Now, always remember that full moons are a time for releasing. They are a time for letting things go. They are a time also for a culmination, right? So the moon is bright. You can see the things that typically are hidden in the shadows or hidden in the darkness, but the moon is illuminated so those things can be seen, so they can be brought into our awareness, so that way we can either let them go, embrace them, or recognize how far we have come. Okay, so this full moon in Scorpio is going to be opposite the sun in Taurus, right? So this axis with the sun being an earthy Taurus, it's a stable sign, right? We all know Taurus does not necessarily like change, it's fixed, and so is the moon. And Scorpio is going to be in a fixed sign. So it's really deep. It's in that watery energy of Scorpio, but it's still fixed where it doesn't necessarily like change so much. So it's really underscoring the fundamental tension between our need for security and comfort versus our desire for change in depth, right? So that's going to be coming up. Now, also, this full moon in Scorpio is inviting us to confront and embrace the complexities of our inner worlds, right? Our emotions, our emotional landscape, okay? And it's urging an exploration of hidden desires, subconscious motives, and even unacknowledged emotions could be there, things that we have suppressed, repressed emotions, even. It's a time to really shed light on those shadows with this illumination so that way we can heal and transform as needed and necessary. Okay. Now, in contrast, the sun that's in Taurus is really seeking stability, pleasure, and just simpler things, right? The simple beauties of life. And the opposition that's happening with the sun and moon is asking us to find balance between holding on and letting go. Like, what's more important to hold on? What aligns to our values, right? Because that Taurus energy is about our values, our possessions, things like that. When I say possessions, I don't necessarily mean tangible possessions, but yes, tangible possessions, but also all things that we possess, right? Every single thing that we possess is found in that Taurus energy. So, between material satisfaction and emotional authenticity, we're going to be needing to seek and find the balance between those things, holding on and letting go what's more important. Okay. Now, the key to this is really lying in acknowledging that true security comes from understanding our deepest needs and fears, not merely from external possessions or superficial stability. So that's very important during this time. Okay. So now moving on, we're going to talk about how the moon with this T square is going to be squaring Pluto in Aquarius, and the sun is also squaring Pluto in Aquarius. So I'm going to put a little chart up here. You can see it where you can actually see this T square. It's just basically like this big triangle configuration with these three energies. Okay. And so it's really intensifying this full moon's transformative energy with Pluto being in the mix, right? Pluto is the planet of death and death. Yes, I was about to say depth, but yeah, also depth, death, and rebirth, right? So in this squaring the both the moon and the sun, and so signifying a period of upheaval, maybe even power struggles, even deep psychological shifts and changes that are happening. And in the sign of Aquarius, Pluto's influence really brings attention to the themes that are about liberation and radical change and the breaking down of outdated structures or beliefs, both on a personal and collective level. So this aspect really changes us to um it changes us, but also it's challenging us to change, right, through confrontation. And it's confronting the areas of our lives where we may be exerting too much control or where we are being controlled, right, directly or indirectly, however it's showing up in our individual lives. It's an opportunity for us to really release those old patterns of power and domination that no longer serves our collective good. And the square aspect is really demanding action, right? To make change, to eliminate and excavate things, right? We're called to actively engage with the transformative process, not just say, oh, I'm going through a transformation, but actually being present and engaging in it, taking your own sense of agency to make sure that that transformation happens. And so, though it may require stepping out of our comfort zones, it's necessary for us to kind of like dive into this new way of just letting things go. All right. Now, integrating the T square energy is going to be ideal, is really key. So navigating the full moon is really requiring us to be courageous. So it's going to be telling us, in a courageous way, face the unknown. And Scorpio is really dark. We don't see what's on the other side of it, right? Face the unknown, and also the willingness to like let go of what we cling on to for false security, right? A lot of us are holding on to relationships, whether it's jobs, whether it's, ideologies, beliefs, mindsets, whatever it is. We're holding on to these things in this false security because it's a false sense of security that they're providing us. It's a powerful time for us really to go through this like emotional purging, for cutting ties with past things, right? Just the past in general, for that way we can like embrace our power to catalyze the profound personal and collective transformations that needs to happen, right? So not only is this happening individually in our lives, but collectively there's a lot of transformations that's going on. All right, so this T square configuration is not, without its challenges. It definitely brings challenges. It's about strife and strain in essence, so that way it can create growth. It brings tension, it brings resistance, it brings conflict all to the surface, especially with us having Mercury retrograde at this time in the sign of Aries. We have Chiron in Aries. We have all this energy in Aries. So all of those, tense and resistance and conflictual things are going to be coming to the surface, and we're going to be reviewing how do we face conflict, right? And however, it also is going to be providing the momentum because of the Aries energy as well, that's necessary for significant breakthroughs and changes that are very like it's necessary to have these right now. Like these changes and these breakthroughs is kind of like breaking us free from the mundane, and is breaking us free from doing things a certain way, because we are really embarking and embracing a new path and a new journey ahead, and we cannot travel on this new journey with old baggage, right? All I can hear is Erykah Badu, bag lady, right? You don't hurt your back trying to carry all that stuff into this new journey, and we got a ways to go. So it's really embracing this period as a chance to grow, to evolve, and to step more authentically into our power. And so during this full moon in Scorpio, allowing ourselves to really dive deep into the emotional waters, to explore the shadows with compassion and courage is going to be key and ideal. Be gentle with yourself, be compassionate. Trust that the process of transformation is really leading you towards greater freedom, authenticity, as well as empowerment. And just remember that the most profound growth often comes from the deepest challenges, right? We typically don't see growth happening from things being easy, you know? Uh, Tension is required for a lot of things. Pressure is required to make the most beautiful things in the world. So, this is a time for shedding the old skin to reveal more true and empoweredness within ourselves, and being ready to rise from the ashes, like the Scorpio, like the phoenix rising. That's the Scorpio, right? So it's the Scorpio, it died, it became the eagle died, and it becomes the phoenix rising from the ashes. So that is this scorpion energy, and that's what we are being called to do, is just rise from the ashes, being renewed and being reborn in a completely different way. Now, also, like I said previously in the very beginning, this Scorpio full moon that happens on the 23rd is revealing light on our deepest emotions, our secret desires, and transformative processes that's happening. So you might even have some revelations that happen, 3 to 4 days leading into the Scorpio full moon. So you might be like already having these revelations and these aha moments that are coming through, where you're like, hey, I've been doing this thing and it's not necessarily serving me. And I finally realized why things aren't working out the way I want them to work out, just as an example. And the T square is involving the sun, moon, and Pluto, is really telling us, you know, that it's affecting more than just one area of life at the same time. Okay, let's just keep that in the forefront of our minds, right? So we're going to really be feeling this intensely, and each zodiac sign is going to be navigating through the intense waters of this Scorpio full moon in a different way. They're going to be confronting the themes of power, rebirth, and revelation within specific areas of their lives. And so, before we dive into the sign by sign kind of breakdown of how this is affecting you, first and foremost, just have a few quick announcements. Okay. So we have the House of Chiron astrology readings. We have 30 and 60-minute slots available. And you can go ahead and book that. We can discuss a natal chart. We can do a solar return during that time. We can do a lunar return during that time. Whatever you decide, whether it's a 30 or 60-minute slot, you choose however you need me to serve you in that. Also, we have the Reiki sessions that are available still as well. I am a master, a Reiki master, so therefore I don't necessarily have to physically be there to make sure that you get your Reiki needs. So we can do virtual Reiki, and it's just as, if not more effective. You can check my credentials, okay? There's a little bird on this little branch outside my window right when I said that. That's interesting. Anywho, so that, as far as like the Reiki sessions, the astrology readings, also we have House of Chiron shirts. We have our own brand line, so you can go ahead and check that out. All of that information can be found on my website, and you can navigate there through the description box below. It has all the things listed for you. Okay. Also on my website, once you get there, there's going to be a pop-up, and it's going to say, download your free PDF guide. So go ahead and get your free PDF guide, because it's going to be a time for you to kind of flip through the pages, and you'll be able to follow along with everything that I'm talking about when it comes to all this astrology stuff, and it'll help you understand it a little bit more. So it's free. It's about 30 pages of astrology goodness. So go ahead and get yours now before I start charging y'all for them. No, I'm joking. So there you have it. I think that's all the announcements that I have for now. Yeah, there's that. All right. So with that being said, let's dive into the readings for all 12 signs. Make sure you are listening for your sun, moon, and rising signs. Okay. So first and foremost is going to be your rising. That's the most accurate reading for your sign. It tells you exactly what's going on in your life, in what area of your life right now with this full moon energy. Okay. Secondly, is going to be your sun sign. So your sun sign is more so about your focus. It's about your goals. It's about your career. And then last but not least will be your moon sign. And your moon sign is really subjective. It's more about your emotional landscape, your emotional world. It's about how you respond to outside stimuli. It also can reflect like your current living situations, your home in your home life, your house, your family, things of that nature. Okay. So first and foremost, let's start off with Aries. Since we're still kind of, we're not in your season anymore by the time I'm doing this. No, we're not. So sorry, Aries, but still we're going with Aries, right? So start off with Aries, sun, moon, and rising. This Scorpio full moon is happening in your 8th house. So this is about transformation and intimacy. Also about joint finances and shared resources. This is about, your money and your partner's money, if that's applicable to you. This is about the resources and the money that you get, whether it's from government entities, whether it's loans, taxes, debts. It's also about debts. All right. So this Aries full moon, this Scorpio full moon in your 8th house, Aries, of transformation brings really intense emotional exchanges and deep self-reflection. So maybe even some secrets could be coming to the surface about your finances or about loans and debts that you have. It also could be like soul contracts. The 8th house also is about divination and past life situations. So these things could be coming up to the surface. You could be getting a lot of revelations about deep-rooted fears and psychological things, because the 8th house is also psychology. These things could be coming up to the surface, so you can recognize them and release them and say, hey, now I know why this has been happening in my life, because I have this belief or I have this psychological thing going on, right? And then you are able to detox it, right? Because Scorpio is all about detoxing the toxins. So you're encouraged to really confront your fears, your debts, or your issues, even surrounding intimacy. And this T square may bring some pressure to you, so that way you can balance your material resources along with your shared assets, right? So embracing vulnerability as a strength and allowing yourself to really emerge reborn. Okay. So for Taurus, sun, moon, and rising, this Scorpio full moon is happening in your 7th house. So this is about relationships and contracts. So with it being in your 7th house, it's not just relationships, like intimate relationships, it's all relationships, right? So it's like your best friend, it's your partner, it's, any interpersonal connection that you may have, right? And then contracts could be literal contracts that you have, but also could be soul contracts. It could be contracts that you have, like from signing, an agreement to something. It could be, the contract that you have that you sign for your house or for your car or something like that. So the focus is really on significant others, but also the commitment that you make to other people, right? Whether it's business partnerships and any other agreement, right? 7th house is about agreements that you've made. Now, this period really demands you to reassess your closest relationships and the balance of power within them. And also, not relationships, but reassess your agreements that you've made and the balance of power within those as well. And so the T square is really highlighting the need for transformation and how you relate to other people, urging you to find harmony and authenticity within those connections, right? So this might be a time where you are letting relationships go, certain ones that no longer align with who it is that you are or align to your values, Taurus, because you are ruled by Venus. And so if it's not aligning to your values, if it does not resonate with who it is that you are, you're like, hey, I ain't jobbing with this here no more. gotta go. Sorry, wish you well, but this is not working out. So that kind of thing could definitely be happening right now. I'm not saying everybody's relationship, if you are a Taurus sun, moon, or rising, that you're going to be leaving a relationship, but there could be some commitments. It could be some agreements. It could be some contracts. It could be some things that you are releasing, but also it could be that you are signing a contract because you're getting into a new agreement, because it also is about something coming to a culmination, not necessarily just releasing, but something coming to its fullness. So that's the energy of that full moon. Okay. Now, also for Gemini, sun, moon, and rising, this full moon is happening in your sixth house. So this is about your work, your routines, and your health, right? So it's shining its light in your sixth house, spotlighting your daily routines, your work environment, where you work, who you work with, your health, what is healthy for you, what brings balance into your life, right? And also, just kind of understanding that it's a time to really purge unhealthy habits, whether it's eating habits, whether it is you not wanting to work out or to move every day or move often or whatever it is for you. Really purging those unhealthy habits and reconsidering your work and home life balance, right? So what is your work life balance? Really saying, okay, what is it that I need? What is it that I desire, right? Because it's Scorpio, so those deep rooted desires, right? That we keep hidden, maybe even from ourselves sometimes. And it's coming up saying, this is not the life that I want when it comes to work. This is not what I enjoy. It does not light me up. And then being able to push through and release, and then saying, I'm going after this instead. But in order to go after something, you must let something go. And that's why we have these full moons, so it can shine a light and say, hey, this needs to go, and so you can go and get this, because that's what you really want. All right. So the T square may really bring some tensions to the surface, emphasizing the need for changes in your daily life that align better with your psychological well-being as well. All right. So for Cancer, sun, moon, and rising, the Scorpio full moon is happening in your fifth house of creativity, kids, and pleasure, and romance, and creative self expression, and joy, and your hobbies. So, the fifth house is really great. It's about romance and joy. And it's really inviting you to reconnect with your heart's desires, reconnect with your kids, reconnect with creativity, the joy of just being in that energy. And, the T square is here and is saying, some challenges are going to be here so you can integrate your personal expression with your responsibilities. It's urging you to really find pleasure amidst the transformation. Be happy, even though there could be some stuff going on that's just not so great. You might find yourself being a little moody, leading up to this Scorpio full moon, but that's okay, because it's kind of like forcing you and pushing you to really express yourself and have a level of self-acceptance. Because also that fifth house energy is about agency and authenticity as well, just as easily as it is, when it comes to the Aquarius energy or the 11th house energy. So it's more so about, radical self-acceptance when it comes to the desire that you have with how you express yourself and how you are creative and how you experience joy. And maybe it's a call for you to get back into a hobby, or maybe it's a call for you to stop doing a certain thing so you can actually get back into doing something that you enjoy and that you love. Okay. So that being said, let's move on to Leo. All right. Leo, sun, moon, and rising. This Scorpio full moon is happening in your fourth house. So this is the house of home, family, your foundations, your roots, your traditions, what makes you feel secure and safe. And so with it being here, it's also about your emotional foundation. So deep-seated emotions may surface during this time. And it's requiring you to confront family dynamics or home-related changes that are necessary. And this T square is really pushing for a balance between your professional ambitions and your personal life also, right? Because that with the moon being in your fourth house, the sun is in your Lord help me. The sun is in your 10th house, right? So is that right? Yeah, that's right, because sun is in Taurus now. Yeah. So with all that being said, I'm like, where am I at on my astrology? So anywho, so it's really telling you home, fourth house, 10th house is your professional life. And it's telling you like, hey, it's really a time for you to kind of reassess things that you've been doing, and what is your home and work life being brought to you about. And especially with Jupiter and Uranus being in your 10th house in the sign of Taurus, you may be reconsidering your career and pushing out and doing something completely different than what you've done. And so it could be happening at the same time that these deep what is it? Like these deep desires are coming up saying, hey, I'm not sure what I really want to do, but I know it ain't that. Or I know exactly what I want to do, and I need to figure out how I'm going to do that. Right. So it's creating this need for this balance between those professional ambitions and your personal life. Like, what is it that you want to do to where your personal life is not affected by your work? Right. And it's signaling a time for really profound emotional and structural shifts that need to happen at home or within yourself first, within your roots, within your traditions, within your home and family life. So that way you can make the changes that's necessary when it comes to your career and your public image, as well as your responsibility to the world. Okay. All right. So moving on. Let me get something to drink. All right. What we have halfway through. All right. So Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. This Scorpio full moon is happening in your third house, Virgo. So this is all about communicating and learning. It's about your neighbors. It's about transportation. It's about communication of all kinds. It's also about small business, right? So, Virgo, if you have a small business and you just need to take a break from it or you need to release it, maybe you're launching a small business. And so this will be a great time to kind of make the announcement, or you're going to release it and let it go, right? It's a pivotal time for you to communicate, go through some learning, even take a short trip also. And with this lunar event that's happening with the Scorpio full moon, is urging you to speak your truth. And, maybe you need to be revealing some deep insights through conversations or through some studying, but sharing your voice is really important right now also. What's on your mind? What desires do you have that are deep seated within you that you need to share with others, that other people need to hear and appreciate and receive? And this T square is really accentuating the need to transform your thought patterns and embrace new ways of connecting with others, right? Because the third house is all about, connection and being able to relate to one another. And so how can you do so through your voice and through, sharing your perceptions, sharing your experience, so that way you can relate to other people, okay? So moving on to Libra, sun, moon, and rising. This Scorpio full moon is happening in your second house of values, finances, resources. And so this is all about your possessions, right? Things that you possess and how you have that. So Libra, this is about the values that you have and the resources that you have, and it's prompting a reevaluation of what truly matters to you, including your finances, right? So the T square energy is really emphasizing changes in how you earn, spend, and value your resources, and it's encouraging you to align your material life with your deepest values, making sure that what you spend has purpose, making sure that you have financial discipline, making sure that everything that you possess has a deep meaning to you, like not just having frivolous things for the sake of just having stuff, right? Not just being a consumer for the sake of it, right? So it's just more so like, also maybe you could be going through a time where you are releasing a certain income stream, letting go one source of income so that way you can bring in a new source of income. There could be many different things going on when it comes to income, but also just more so your values are coming into alignment, like allowing those deep rooted things when it is pertaining to your relationships, when it pertains to your values, when it pertains to your income, and letting those deep desires come up to the surface so that way you can say, this is what I want, and then you begin to act on it. Okay. So for Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising, this full moon is your full moon. It's happening in your sign. It's directly affecting you. So it is in the first house of self, identity, your image, your self-image, your perceptions of the world, how you view the world. And so it marks a potent period of personal revelation and transformation. Like you might see yourself changing. You might see, like, it's kind of like this, I'm coming out. That's what I'm hearing. I want the world to know. Right. That's all I keep hearing is that, like, you're going to be showing who it is that you are. The moon is illuminating that light on you and is showing who you are, not only to others, but who you are to yourself. And now you've gone through this reevaluation of how you have been with others and how your interpersonal connections and relationships have been with other people. And now you're making the changes that are necessary so that way you can actually show up the way that you want to show up for yourself. Right, with this moon being in your first house of self. And it may affect or it may even shock other people, right? So there could be like this unexpected relationship that's developing during this time because you have that conjunction with Jupiter and Uranus in your seventh house. Okay. And it could be like a relationship that's happening, or a commitment or an agreement that you're making with yourself or for yourself. And it could be shocking other people. And so this is something that really could be coming up right now. And so it's really challenging you to embrace your personal desires with your relationship dynamics, right? Catalyzing you to have some significant growth in like how you see yourself. You know, it's really a time, like I said, to embrace your full power and shed outdated aspects of your identity. That's what's happening. You are letting something go. Okay. Now, for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this Scorpio full moon is happening in your 12th house. So, this is a real spiritual time for you, Sagittarius. So, it's about the subconscious. It's about, things coming undone. It's about the release. It's about spirituality and creativity on another level. But really about just the spiritual aspect of things. And so even like your subconscious patterns and your beliefs in that regard. And so when it's illuminating the house of like your hidden fears and secrets in the subconscious mind, it's really a period for introspection and healing and letting go of past burdens, letting go of those things that have held you back. The self-sabotage is of the 12th house, hidden enemies is of the 12th house also. So it could be that illumination is happening so you can see some hidden enemies. And maybe you are your own hidden enemy. We self-sabotage. We do that to ourselves a lot. And all of that energy is found in that 12th house. And so you could be releasing and letting go of those things that have held you back, that has created that self-sabotaging kind of energy. And the T-square that's happening right now with this full moon is surfacing unconscious patterns for transformation, right? So it's guiding you towards spiritual growth, towards inner peace. So you may even find yourself like going on a retreat. You may find yourself, taking a sabbatical, doing some introspection. You may find yourself doing a lot of things that keep you in kind of like this isolation, or keep you in a little bit seclusion, because you're going through a healing process. You are really purging things from the inside. So it's more so internal than the external expression of this energy for you, Sagittarius. But because it's happening in a hidden house. So just kind of keep that in mind. You might have some emotional responses to it as is, but it might be really deep and really intense for you because it's happening not only emotionally, but subconsciously as well. All right. So for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this Scorpio full moon is happening in your 11th house. So this has a lot to do with your friendships, your future goals, your hopes and wishes, material gains, your networking circles, the people that you affiliate with, like on social media. That's the 11th house also. And so with the full moon being in your 11th house, it really emphasizes your friendships, communities, and also just your aspirations. So this is a time that calls for reevaluation of your social circles and dreams for the future. Maybe you are really needing to rethink, what you plan on doing. Maybe there are some goals that you have actually achieved and you need to make that announcement, or you just reached that milestone, so now it's time to set out on a new journey or create some new goals for your life. Now the T-square also is pressuring you to kind of confront those changes that are needed within your social circles as well as your ambitions, so that way it can push you towards more authentic connections, right? Creating things that are more in alignment with who it is that you are, right? And not necessarily just people that are around you, or you are achieving these shallow goals for the sake of doing so because society says to do so. Okay. Now for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this Scorpio full moon is happening in your 10th house of career, public image, responsibility to the world. And your social status might be changing, and that can happen for various reasons. You could be getting a new job, you could be letting a job go, you could be getting a promotion, you could be changing your career altogether, or you could be getting engaged, or you could be getting married, any of those things. So with Aquarius energy right now, and Pluto is in your sign also, you are really undergoing a major transformation also. Okay. So the full moon, it spotlights this very public sector of your chart, right? So the 10th house is the highest part of the chart, right? Where the midheaven normally is, or around the area. And so it's the part that everyone sees publicly. And so your public standing, your social status, all of those things are being seen right now with the moon illuminating that area. And it's urging you to kind of consider your role in the public eye and your professional path. What are you doing? How are you doing it? How are you being perceived publicly as well as professionally? Do you want to be perceived that way? And maybe you're making some changes. Maybe you are releasing something, or maybe you are just finally accepting who it is that you are. Could be. All right. So the T square really is demanding a balance between personal evolution and professional responsibilities. And so this could be prompting a transformative phase in your career trajectory. So you could be going through the real phase of like change and transformation in that area of your life. All right. So last but not least, we got Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. So this Scorpio full moon is happening in your ninth house of beliefs, higher education, exploration. It is all about, travel and a pilgrimage and your life path. So it's really inviting you to expand your horizons through whether it's travel, study, or philosophical exploration. It's a time to challenge and deepen your belief systems. So the T square stimulates a quest for knowledge and also truth, right? Because Jupiter rules Pisces just as well as it rules the ninth house. And that's all about truth. And it's encouraging you to integrate new perspectives into your worldview. So, you could be saying, hey, I don't want to go on this trip anymore, or hey, I'm going back to school, making that final decision. You could be going on a sabbatical, you could be going on a pilgrimage, like a spiritual pilgrimage. You could also be letting go one belief, right? Or many beliefs. You could be letting go a belief system that you have been practicing, so that way you can study or learn something completely new. That way it's helping you to gain a different perspective of the world. So Pisces is what's happening for you at this time. It's also very spiritual. Okay. So that is all that I have for you at this time. Just know that this full moon in Scorpio is marked by this T square and is offering each sign opportunities for deep emotional healing, transformation, and a chance to confront and release whatever no longer serves our highest good. So embrace these energies with courage and openness to change. All right. Make sure y'all hit the description box below so you can get your readings, you can get your Reiki, you can get your House of Chiron merch and your free PDF guide. Also, make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and comment on this, okay? Because I like to talk to y'all as much as I possibly can with everything I got going on. I do try. All right. So I think that's all I got. All right. I hope y'all have a wonderful Scorpio full moon. If you are watching this during the time of the Jupiter Uranus conjunction, stay safe. And, just be there for all the shocks and surprises. I'll talk to y'all soon.